You sneaky. You're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Come on. Come on. Really?
Do you smoke crack cocaine?
Exactly.
Let's give the people what they came for.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada? There will always be a Canada. All right, elbows out, elbows up.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Ready? Are you ready? Get them out of here! Get them out of here! Get the hell out of here!
Enough with the woke shit.
So the answer to that is to stop being stupid.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. No. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
Is the federal government stealing from us? Are they sabotaging our industry? Are they taking us down the path to communism? Are they censoring us? Are they stealing our guns from us? Come on, let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. Welcome to Unhinged Fringe here Wednesday night on the channel live. God, I hope you're having a good week. I'm having an amazing week this week because the news, the good news, just keeps piling on. I don't know if you guys had seen failed woke mayor Jody Gondek having her house raided, her phone stolen, taken by RCMP. She's in big trouble. She's in super big trouble. Good news. It's good news all around. I've got amazing news to share with you guys tonight, and we're going to get that going ASAP. I'm not sure what's going on with the chat. The chat is frozen for me once again. It's got to be a StreamYard problem. Hasn't happened for a long time, but here we are. Oh, there it goes. It's moving now. It's moving now. There must have been a delay. Guys, it wouldn't be a Wednesday night show without my hetero life mate, Matt. Matt, welcome back to the channel. Great to have you here. What a week.
Yes, and it's mostly good. I mean, we're still going to make fun of people who are being stupid. There's some of that, but there's lots of good Alberta news. And if you'll notice, hey, check it out. The new background is up.
Look, it's like I got my sweater. You've got yours on. We got the background. It's like we're all coming up matching today. It's almost like Alberta's winning, isn't it?
Shout out to Alberta Pin and
Alberta
Mike Freedom
Pin
Honey and Mike Freedom Honey because their shipment got seized at the border or whatever. So Mike actually sent me that flag out of his personal supply.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Guys, Alberta's winning. And boy, is it ever winning. It's kicking ass and taking names. Yes. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get started, there's some honorable mentions I got to get out of the gates. Jonathan, $10 super chat. As a fan of cartoons, I'd like to know what character your daughter loved most from Has Been Hotel before you'd put her watching Privileges on Ice. I just recently picked up the DVD. I think Mrs. Fringe answered that before the show. I'm really not sure because I don't watch the show, but hopefully she answered it for you. Thank you for the super chat. Karina, being a member for 6 months, hi from Calgary, the city of scandals, not for long. Hopefully the RCMP get in the way and actually do something they're supposed to do. Guys, get the likes in tonight, will you? We're already over 600 viewers, 1,000 likes tonight. I'll do 2 giveaways. 2. I'm already going to do 1. Dutchie was generous enough to donate shirts. We didn't hit our goal for a couple
Dutchie's
of streams.
A beauty.
He is. He's a beauty, eh? But we got to at least give away Dutchie's donations. I can't hold on to them forever. So we're going to give away the last donation shirt we got to give away tonight. I'm going to do 2 if we hit 1,000. So if you guys want free stuff, let me know in the chat. It's frozen again. I wanted to do a roll call, but the chat's frozen.
You know, yeah, it was working good the last couple of streams. It had done
It
this
was
for a
just
while.
fine, and now all of a sudden it's frozen. I don't know what's going on, guys. I guess we'll skip the roll call tonight. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people look forward to the roll call. A lot of people look forward to it. We've got to get on with the show. Once the live catches up, I'll try to get all the supers. I'll try and engage a little more tonight to make up for it. Let's get straight into the news. Let's get straight into what's happening in Alberta. If you guys look at the thumbnail, the debate to end all debates is happening in Alberta. I will be there. I will make sure we are there. If I can stream it, I will try to stream it. I'm not sure what the rules are going to be, so stay with me on this one. But for those who weren't aware, Rise of Alberta came out. Hold on, because I've got audio I got to share on this one. Rise of Alberta came out. Keith Wilson, the most Albertan lawyer in the world, who joined us Monday on the channel.
That was a great show, by the way. Like, really good.
It was fantastic. Answered a lot of your guys' questions. He's going to be debating Fat Stalin, not just once, but twice. Forget Bruce Party. Forget everybody else who's jumping in on these debates. Keith Wilson is going to absolutely mop the floor with Jason Kenney. I can't wait. It's going to be a slobber knocker.
I honestly can't believe he agreed to it. Like, he's
Old Mickey had to chime in to give his impression of what he thinks Keith Wilson's going to do. Let's take a look.
The guy says you're going to eat lightning and you're going to crap thunder. You're going to be...
He's going to eat lightning and he's going to crap thunder. It's going to be fantastic. Keith Wilson is going to absolutely decimate Fat Stalin, Jason Kenney.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be two major debates in May. There's no dates set yet. There goes my Lizdexia. There's no date set yet, but it is in May. And there's going to be one debate in Edmonton, one in Calgary. Both of them an absolute spanking. Keith Wilson to Fat Stalin.
It's going to be after we have the numbers too. So literally, he could just go in and win the debate and say, 1 million Albertans signed. That is all.
Yeah, there you go. Alberta's winning.
That is all.
Alberta's winning. It's over. I hate using those words because, other YouTubers ruin those two words for everybody, but it's over. Keith Wilson is going to, look, I didn't watch a lot of the debate between Bruce Party and Harrison Faulkner because the majority of the people in those debates don't really stand with Alberta independence. Bruce Party has been a good source of information, but Keith Wilson has pointed out numerous times that some of that information is maybe a little misleading or a little wrong, incorrect. Keith is a constitutional lawyer, after all. I understand Bruce Party is a professor of constitutional law. However, I will side with the constitutional lawyer who's been involved with the process from just about day one and knows the ins and outs of Alberta. So I'm not saying Bruce Party's a bad person or we don't like him or he's evil or anything like that. I don't mind Bruce, but I stand with what Keith Wilson's going to do. And I think Keith is going to absolutely mop the floor with Fat Stalin. It's going to be a slobber knocker. Get your popcorn, folks.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited. I don't know. Are you going to, Matt, maybe we've got Edmonton and Calgary. I think maybe we're going to have to fly you down for one of those debates.
Like where,
to come check it out.
Like, what's the venue?
They haven't announced yet. But Matt, are you going to come?
I'm going to come.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Oh, okay. We got some honorable mentions.
Can we start a Fat Stalin chant in the audience? Fat Stalin.
That would be glorious. I think we're gonna. Let's get some honorable mentions out of the way. You guys are flooding them in already. How dare you? $5 super chat. Evening, gents. Checking in from the booming metropolis of Grantham, Alberta. Thank you so much for the super. And Yazinski. I always say Yaniski. And Yazinski coming in with $5 super chat. I got my flag, my pin, my t-shirt. I love them. I love that you love them.
I got the pin when I was in Calgary for the Big Four, so it's on my hat.
Yep. They were handing them out like mad. Sanj Lee, $2.79 super chat. Lethbridge event Friday at the Nest Events, 2806 Fifth Avenue North. I know Sanj Lee put that in on Monday. I just splashed it on the screen because Keith was doing his Keith thing. But for anybody in the Lethbridge area, check that out at Nest Events. A lot of independent stuff going on. Granite Man, $2 super chat. Do you have plans for when Carney shuts you down? Look, Keith talked about this. It's not going to happen. I talked about this yesterday. It's not going to happen. Here's the thing that everybody's got to look at when it comes to independence. It doesn't matter. Like, as The Rock says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter even if, let's say hypothetically, Mark Carney could come in and shut things down. Do you think that with the amount of Albertans that have lined up to sign this petition, with the movement that's going on in Saskatchewan, the movement that's starting to happen in British Columbia, that you're going to see Albertans just stand back and go, oh, geez, guys, I guess we're licked. I guess it's all done. We better just pack up and go home.
Have you ever heard of a dance called the Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, the Electric Boogaloo may become a thing. You would see mass pushback. He has no jurisdiction to shut it down because it's up to the province to do what it's doing. And you might at that point start to get a little bit of support from America.
Interesting. Sorry to jump in, but I just saw this comment. You think he will?
Pat Stalin will cancel?
You think he's
I
gonna
don't
bail?
know. He's agreed to 2 different dates. I don't see it. If it was one, maybe. If it was an internet thing, maybe. My guess is he needs some money. He's probably going to be paid for this event. He'll be paid to speak. So I'm guessing he'll be there. I'll start my bids, my side bet on him showing up. I think he's going to show up. But nonetheless, folks, Mark Carney. By the way, I've been working on my Mark Carney, so we can start doing some fun exchanges between him and Trump. Who cares? We're going to we're not going anywhere. The genie's out of the bottle. You've got roughly, and Danielle Smith has said it even in her interviews during the Conservative Convention, I'm not going to demonize roughly 1 million Albertans who aren't satisfied with the way the government's running. When the government tells you you can't do something, how does that end? I don't see too many people who turn around and go, oh geez, I better go home. It's not happening.
When the government tells me I can't, that's pretty much my biggest incentive to go and do that exact thing on purpose.
Even more. Even more.
You know what? I'm going to do it harder.
I'm going to do it so hard. Alberta Gamer, $5 super chat. If Alberta and Saskatchewan become a nation, what will its name be? If provincial capitals stay the same, will Calgary be the national capital? I don't really know any of that. I'm not 100% on that. What will its name be? Fringe Berta, I think, is a good name. I think we'll stick with that. Who knows? Look, I've already told people I don't want to be involved in any bit of the process. As long as they put my face on the money, I'm good. So let's go.
Which denomination? The 100?
No, it's got to be something commonly used. We're going to put the Fringe 5
or the 20.
The 5er, maybe a 20. That's the new 5. Sanjali, 279 super chat. It'll be at 7 p.m. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Sanjali.
Go ahead.
How dare you? $2 super chat. Carney, who cares? Who cares? Major Flip being a member for 3 months. Thank you so much for supporting the Patriots Club. You, sir, are a rock star.
It already slide. Keep doing that. It brings it right in. But I was going to say, you think the 20 is the new 5? Not if you listen to Mark Carney.
Oh, here we go, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's look at what's happened to the United States since the summer. They have lost 6,000 jobs. This country's created over 80,000 jobs since August.
Where?
Let's look at what's happened to wages in this country. They are
Alberta.
in years 4%. They're growing twice the rate of inflation. Canadians are getting ahead. Every single month of this government, Canadian wages have grown faster than the rate of inflation. Rents are at a 33-month low. Affordability is the best it's been in over a decade.
Do you feel like you're getting ahead, Derek? Do you
feel
feel
volume? Is your volume down on that one?
No, it's all the way up.
Weird.
Do you feel like you're getting ahead, Derek? Do you feel like affordability is the best it's been in a decade? How about you guys in the chat? Do you feel like you're getting ahead? Do you feel like your affordability is the best it's been in a decade? How can that nonsense come out of his stupid, obnoxious face hole?
What's funny about it is that Mark Carney will always tout that things are affordable. He talks about the jobs that have been created. The majority of those jobs, by the way, anytime they show those jobs, they've been in the West. They're not out east. People are losing their jobs. Ontario's losing jobs. They're hemorrhaging jobs. In fact, the Toronto housing market has taken a massive dive. A massive dive. And it is good. It is good for the people in Toronto, not the people who just bought in, but the people who are waiting to get in, the people who need a break in reality.
Absolutely.
It's going to improve for them.
Those people who just bought $1 million houses in Toronto and in Vancouver in the last 5 years, I feel sorry for you, son.
I feel sorry for all of them because, look, they face the same conundrum that the wife and I faced. Like, we didn't buy our first house till we were 35. Mm-hmm. And we'd been saving since we were roughly in our mid to late 20s because we got married. I got married when I was 26. We started tucking money away. And every time we would get close to a down payment, the cost of housing would go up. And you need that 5% to get in. Plus, the bank would sit and look at you and say, well, you're paying ridiculously high rent. But even though you're doing that and your mortgage would be lower, you don't qualify for a mortgage because you don't have enough down payment to offset it. And because we said so. So it took us 9 years to build up a down payment in order to buy our first home. It was absolutely ridiculous.
You can't afford this $1,500 a month mortgage, so go pay $2,500 a month in rent instead.
Exactly. It's absolutely ridiculous the way that our system is based. I understand why they have to put those checks and balances in place. When you look at, go watch The Big Short. When you look at what happened in the American housing industry in 2008, they used to call them ninja applications, no income, no job applications. They overvalued real estate and it crashed. So there's a reason they don't want to just hand houses to people in Canada. They will if you're, sand people. Or if you come from somewhere else. However, the problem for people in the areas like Toronto, Windsor, anywhere in Southern Ontario, Mega City 1 area, region, around Canada, because let's face it, it's not cheap really anywhere anymore. People get their down payments and then they lose their jobs because the economy sucks, or the cost goes up and they can't afford it, or the banks deny them. So seeing a change in the housing market is a good thing. I think we need to see that. I think we need to see that correction.
It's been an endless inflationary bubble, and it can't last forever. It just keeps going. They keep propping it up with different interest rates and loans and stuff and rules, but it can't keep going like this.
No. It's one of the reasons I think people get mad at me on this channel, and they always say oh, dude, you're so pro Alberta. All you ever talk about is Alberta. It's because when you start looking at the way things are run, folks, and that clip of Carney, by the way, it's all theater. It's all part of the circus that we're in right now. Like, Mark Carney will stand up and you don't actually get any answers during question period. This is part of the reason I stopped live streaming question period, because
it's enough to make you insane.
It's aggravating. It's aggravating to watch. He'll stand up and spew a bunch of bullshit for his 30-second quip, and Pierre will stand up and talk actual reasonable facts, and then they'll just give a bunch of word salad and deniability to what they're doing and walk out of the room.
The worst thing is there's no rule that they have to answer a direct question. That's what drives me insane. You could say, what is the sky? Why is the sky blue? And they'll go, well, we in Canada, we look at the sky a lot. And for Canadians, we really want to take care of the sky. So the Liberal Party is working hard to make sure the sky always stays the right color. But why is the sky blue? Well, and then they'll do another one just like that. They'll do it 3 times in a row, even though you're asked a direct question with a direct yes or no or simple answer, and they don't answer it and say a bunch of nonsense.
Yep. You'd make a great politician with that answer. Here's the reason we need this. So when Alberta becomes a republic, folks, when we have our constitutional convention, we're not going to have question period in the new Republic of Alberta. We'll have accountability period. We'll have a session where the government must answer the questions that they are given. They must have accountability. And things are going to be great. And I want to put this in before we get started, because I do have a clip here from Keith Wilson. I know a lot of people were saying on Monday's stream how calming it was to have Keith in here. I agree. And this is, again, why I push so hard for him to be the leader of this revolution when the time comes. I don't think we need it right now. I think this has to be grassroots driven. But it's why I push so hard for Keith Wilson to be at the head front of the new Republic of Alberta. I know he has said he has no part in it. However, he does have a part in it, folks. So for anybody who's worried about how this moves forward, or says, You know, we don't have a plan. We don't have things in place. They haven't announced their plans. There's a reason for that. When you look at the pushback that's happening with all of our canvassers, when you see people being attacked, when you see the news attacking us, and Keith Wilson has said a number of times, they're going to continue to attack you and it's going to get messy. There are certain things that I hear in the circles that I walk around with, whether it's other YouTubers, people like Keith Wilson, Jeff Raff, Mitch Sylvester, Premier Smith and her people. But a lot of the times when I talk to those people, the first thing they'll say to me is, this is off the record. So what I try to do on this channel is I try to drop little crumbs wherever I can, or at least enforce that, hey guys, things are still okay. There's a lot of gears in this clock that are moving. Things are working in a good fashion. There's no reason to be worried. There's no reason to be upset, because I take what I'm being told at face value, and I know I can't communicate those things to you. But this is one of those things. I've known this for a little bit, not too terribly long, but for a little bit. I want to bring in this clip of Keith over at Jason Levine's event last night in Leduc. Shout out to Freedom Calendar, or Max over at Freedom Calendar. I've told you guys before, he covers all of these live events where he can, where he's in the area. Keith was called up surprisingly. He was actually at the back of the room as an audience member, and they asked him to come up and speak to the room for this event. And what he closed with is something, again, that I've known for a little bit, but I guess now that he's made it public, this is something we can give you guys a little bit of reassurance that everything's running according to plan. Everything that you're worried about is being handled. So for the naysayers who turn around and go, you guys don't have a plan, you don't have an exit strategy, you don't have any idea what's going to happen when Alberta leaves, take a listen to what Keith's talking about here.
Sure. So I would just close by saying, didn't expect to get brought up. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm so happy everybody's here. I just wanted to come. I'm usually at the front of the room. I wanted to sneak in. Nobody knew I was coming. Brought my wife with me. She's a canvasser, by the way, if anybody hasn't signed, and experience it from the other side. And I'm glad I did. But be clear in your mind, again, by every practical measure, this makes sense. The insanity is only that it's gone on so long. There's going to be, we're going to hit the numbers. There's going to be a referendum. There's going to be lots of confusion along the way. There's going to be lots of people saying things like, oh, it's not going to work now. Myself and others have gamed out every possible scenario, so we're ready for everything they're going to throw at us. There's a pathway to success. I'm working with some other people right now, and it's not public, although a few people know about it. It's called the Alberta Transition Council. High-level people. We're putting together a detailed transition plan for how Alberta will move from a province to an independent country, including term sheets for negotiations with Ottawa, simultaneous negotiations with Ottawa and Washington, so that when we vote on October 19th, we can start the process of transition the day after. Thank you very much.
So Keith nails it there, because this is one of the things that people have talked about to great extent, that Alberta doesn't have an exit strategy. They're not talking about any of the policies, how things would be affected. And Keith couldn't necessarily answer every question that came in on Monday's show, but he answered the majority of them, the ones that he felt that he could answer, at least at this time.
Like, he answered them all really well, too. Like, some of his answers to a single question were like 20 minutes long, and like, he was thorough.
Yeah, and this is again one of the reasons where I think Keith would be beneficial as a leader. He has all of his ducks in a row. He knows how to present himself. He's very charismatic when he's out on the mic. I'll tell you this from somebody who hangs out with Keith in the background. He's the life of the party whenever you go somewhere. He's so much fun to be around. He knows how to have a good time. And Keith is a fun guy to joke around with. I want to give a big shout out to CB Fixes All. He does a bunch of work in the background. He actually pulled that clip for us for this show. People don't know this. I've talked about it a little bit on the channel, but those like CB, Master of Snatch, Joe Lyman, there's so many people who work in the background with Unacceptable Fringe. They find our news stories, they find our clips, and they do it for the satisfaction of knowing that you guys are getting the information. So a huge shout out to those guys for all the work that they're doing in the background. I think for anybody who's worried that maybe we don't have all the answers, or maybe we're not organized, or things aren't moving ahead, or they might have gotten quiet. That's not the case. Things are always moving in the background. And like I said earlier, I talk to these folks all the time. I hear about these things that are going on, like what Keith's talking about here with this this group that's assuring that everything's lined up when we exit. And unfortunately, there are reasons that those things can't be made public right away. So I'll continue trying to keep you guys motivated when I have that information that, hey, things are okay. And just know that when the time comes and I can give you that information, I will give you that information. You deserve that information. I feel that this is a good time to drop the information we just dropped about Keith. It may put a little bit of worry to rest for a lot of people. But just know, folks, that just because we don't say it right away doesn't mean it isn't happening. So stay the course. Get signed on the petition. Get your signature in if you haven't yet. The only way to do it is in person, in ink. You cannot do it online. You cannot do it by any other means, by telephone or whatever you've been told by any other scams. You must go in person with identification and sign there. Let's get a few honorable mentions out of the way, because Matt, you've got a clip from Jeff Raff talking about what's going on, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Jim Brown with the $2 super chat. Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
If you smell what Alberta is cooking.
There we go. Major Flip, $5 super chat. Thanks, Fringe. I love you guys. Screw Carney. I appreciate it. Major Flip is such a great viewer.
I prefer not to screw Carney. Thank you.
I would prefer not to. Do not redeem. Real Steve Jensen coming in with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much. Scary, the Supreme Court might try to redefine the meaning of the notwithstanding clause. Section 33 of the Constitution. Feds are trying to rewrite history. Its meaning. This is the only reason provinces signed on to the charter. Serious consequences. Let me bring something up about that. I'll let Matt get through the Jeff Rath stuff. And then I'm going to bring out something that might give you a little bit, again, much like Keith Wilson said, a little bit of reassurance that things are fine. JP Alberta first with the $10 super chat. Did Carney learn to lie while he was speaking to shareholders of Brookfield, or while he was the government of the Bank of England, or when he was hanging on Epstein Island? Yeah, I would think so. I mean, look, you can always tell when they're lying. They open their mouths, right? That's politicians. That's the new somebody mentioned it in today's video when we talked about Jody Gondek. And we talked about the World Sikh Organization, the ties to Nenshi, how this ties to the federal government, how it's all throughout our MPs, all of our provincial, all of our municipal. And somebody said, you know what? This is the new way for politicians. They're all corrupt. They're all taking payouts. They're all in on it. Well, this is why, again, we need to push for independence. We can rewrite the rules and get away from that. That should be the biggest drive for anybody in Alberta, is that if you're sick and tired of the way your government is acting, this is a way to get a fresh start and vote for it. Don't forget that once we vote to leave, once the negotiations are done, when we have our constitutional convention, you get a vote and a say on how everything in the new republic is run. That's worth it alone in spades.
You know me, I've been saying for 15 years that the only voting I want to do is at the end of my shovel. But I've come back to the fold of politics for Alberta independence. Derek, just when I thought I was out, Derek brought me back in.
Pull me back in. $5 super chat. Thank you so much. I love what Scott Moe's doing for Saskatchewan regarding the firearms grab. Smith needs to get on this and issue provincial firearms licenses. We've been asking for that for quite some time. And she talked about this at the AGM. She had everybody vote on it once again. This is where I say that I'll give scrutiny where scrutiny is due. Premier Smith needs to stop kicking the can down the road and actually do what she's been mandated to do.
I'm sorry. I need to jump in on Scott Moe helping with the firearms, because that's a crock, as I addressed when he first announced it. The bill he's trying to put forward will allow you as a private citizen to store your still illegal firearms for the government. 22. Yes, they're still illegal. You still can't use them. You still can't sell them, but you're allowed to store them on behalf of the government, and no one will come for them until the government offers you a fair price. So, but in order to attain that wonderful privilege, you have to go and tell them what you have in detail and where it is. So it is literally a Trojan horse, do not redeem.
Oh, there's only one answer to this problem, folks.
Why you no bring the gun to me and then I give you $25 gift card to Tim Horton?
Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Why you redeem
Dutchy throwing it down on the table. $140 super chat. Thank you so much, Dutchy. God, so appreciated, my friend. Once the signatures are submitted, the work will really start.
Absolutely.
Fight the media and the haters with the truth. Convince as many we can. The Republic of Alberta is close. Stay the course. Dutchy is the poster child for Alberta independence. This is a blue-collar worker, a man who understands what real hard work accomplishes. You can see that by his super chats. But I'm only teasing. But I've met Dutchy in person, and this guy works hard for a living. He works hard for his family, and he gets very little in return.
Dutchy's our boy.
Just like every Albertan. He knows what Alberta needs, and I stand behind what he says as well. Real Steve Jensen with a $5 super chat. CCFR challenge the firearms rights will be heard by the Supreme Court, but that can take years to get a decision. Meanwhile, we become instant criminals. That's kind of the bad end of the stick when it comes to this. Is why, again, Danielle Smith needs to do what she said she was going to do. Scott Moe, if that's the case with the firearms, he's got to kind of get in line. No more dancing around the issues. The people, I'm sounding like a broken record. I know people hate hearing it all the time, but again, I have to keep bringing it up so that it gets embedded in your brains. This is why we need to be independent. If you get to vote on this stuff, if you get to look after yourselves, and we stop taking care of the welfare state, we stop taking care of Indian migrants and sand people, and we stop throwing money at forever wars, we stop having anything to do with the federal government, we can rewrite our constitution, have castle law, have open carry, conceal and carry. You can have basically everything that Americans have and more. I want to bring up
to rewrite the Constitution. We take the best from the American Constitution and the Canadian Charter and add some new stuff and make our own. That's the plan.
Rise of Alberta had a really good infographic, and I had it in a video. I'm just going to pull it up. I'm looking for it right now. Here it is. Let's bring this in. It was all the things Alberta could do in 1 year. 1 year if it were to claim its independence. Let's take a look at this, folks. Anybody who ever says to you, and I'll try and put this in the post section on the YouTube channel so you can share it with others, what an independent Alberta could build with $47 billion in 1 year. It's just 1 year, folks. 879 schools, Indigenous infrastructure improvements, a Calgary-Banff rail investment, a major Highway 2 expansion, 26 major hospitals, 5 Calgary to Edmonton high-speed rail lines, 3615 clean water systems for Indigenous communities, and 188,000 homes. And that's just the money we're saving from transfer payments. Transfer payments.
Counting new revenue from, like, you know, being allowed to do whatever you want with your own resources.
Right? Like, this is where I just don't understand anybody that's still in Alberta that says, well, I'm just not ready. Or and look, I'm not going to criticize. People have the right to feel how they want to feel. I will give that, because it would be a dictatorship if I said they must vote for independence. But when you look at the positives versus the negatives, or the people who say, well, it's going to be a struggle, or it's going to take time, or it doesn't happen overnight. Since when are Albertans afraid of a little bit of work or struggle or getting their hands dirty? Never. It's one of the reasons I stayed in this province.
I don't understand how anybody could watch the show from Monday or anytime he's just speaking and explaining things and not be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's very logical and very well explained. That makes sense to me.
Well, and I think that this is where Keith Wilson's going to mop the floor with Fat Stalin, with Jason Kenney. I think this is where people are going to start to see the way it is. Jason Kenney, keep in mind that he's going to get buried by Keith Wilson in this debate.
Absolutely wrecked.
Those who stand behind Jason Kenney are going to have to admit at this point that Kenny's got nothing to stand on. He'll have nothing to talk about. He'll try and put figures together. He'll try and say jobs are leaving. He'll try and say that things aren't going to be better for Albertans. And Keith Wilson's going to come at him with straight facts. So you might see a shift in independent supporters after that, although the signing period will be over at that point. But again, we still have a vote in October. Dutchy says we spend our money where we need it most. And that's the benefit of independence. Guys, it's going to be a nonstop party in Alberta, and it's going to give all of us a fever.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
There's going to be tons of cowbell. We need more cowbell everywhere. Lots of cowbell.
All right. Is it time?
What did
for
Jeff
Jeffrey?
Rath have to say? Let's talk about Jeff.
All right. I keep forgetting now that I have power. As soon as I cue something up, it just automatically goes to the screen. So
if Alberta leaves, or when Alberta leaves, we're doing the rest of the country a favor. Yes. Because the way the amending formula is now set up, right, the Constitution is virtually unamendable. But the Supreme Court has said clearly in the secession reference that if a province wants to leave, right, the rest of the country has to negotiate in good faith. And if they don't negotiate in good faith, it then opens the door to the province to unilaterally declare independence, right? Which, you know, I suspect is the route we're going to end up having to go down, because I do not expect the Carney Liberals or any Liberal government in Ottawa to negotiate in good faith, right, with regard to Alberta leaving Canada when we win the referendum. So, you know, we're on a path, right? So, you know, it's interesting.
Okay, so one more question. You actually just made me think about this. So, if they don't negotiate in good faith, what's the timeline look like? Do we say that there's a certain amount of time? It's 3 months, or
I would say
does that look like?
3 to 6 months. I mean, why? You know, this isn't gonna, for me, it shouldn't be a multi-year process.
Sure.
You know, it's like, this is, you know, here's our proposal. You
rip the Band-Aid off, right?
Yeah, you give us our proposal. We'll decide whether you're being reasonable about this. We have no intention of delaying. We have no intention of engaging in, you know, multi-year litigation with you over any of this stuff. We don't want any of this litigated by Canadian courts. My view is that, you know, that this now, given the bias of, Canadian judges towards Canada, it should be, any dispute should be arbitrated by, the Court of International Arbitration in The Hague, or some international body that, that doesn't have a dog in the hunt, right? But I guess all of that remains to be seen. But from my perspective, we need to get this done, sooner rather than later. And I think people are going to be shocked at the speed with which Alberta is going to leave Canada. Because I don't think, if when a majority of Albertans turn out to vote ourselves out of Canada, we're not going to be tolerating a government in Edmonton that isn't prepared to roll up their sleeves and get us out of Canada sooner rather than.
So he thinks he can get it done quick, and I absolutely agree with him on the Supreme Court of Canada. You don't let your abuser run the proceedings. That'd be like the husband in an abusive relationship getting to be his own judge at the court. So I think we can get it done. We just got to get those votes, get out and sign that thing. Because once again, I can almost guarantee we're over the 177,000 required to trigger the referendum. That's pretty much a given.
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's already done. It's already happening.
But a 1 million signatures on that is an absolute punch in the face to the Alberta government of Danielle Smith, to the federal government of Canada, and to all the naysayers and everybody else. And they can all...
Will Morris comes into the $2 super chat. All Americans totally know Carney's an asshat. Canadians know it too. I can assure you that. Thank you for the super
yes,
chat.
we do.
He comes into the $10 super chat. Why does the Conservative Party continually talk about defunding the CBC, but never once tried to get the law that Trudeau got rid of that required that to be recognized as a news organization? They had to tell the truth because it's all theater.
Because once they get it, they want to abuse the laws too.
Here's the one thing that keeps getting mentioned that a lot of people who, again, no stab at the Conservatives. If you want Canada to remain whole and you want Alberta to stay a part of Canada, that's fine. You're allowed to feel that way. But this is a question I think everybody has to ask themselves realistically. And part of the problem and the reason that there's such a push for independence, let's say Pierre Poilievre gets in and he gets a super majority government and the people in Alberta change their minds and say, yep, we're all going to vote for Pierre. We just want everything to work and everything's sunshine, rainbows, fairy dust, and unicorn farts. And Pierre comes in and says, we're going to defund the CBC. We're going to open up pipelines. We're going to change the laws and the caps and everything else that's been done in Canada to make our economy open, robust, that, everybody's going to thrive. What happens 4 years later when Pierre's voted out and the Liberals take government again and just undo all of the work that Pierre has done? That's the question everybody has to ask. Why do we keep consistently getting on this carousel and saying things can work when we have the opportunity to change it? That's where a lot of people don't seem to understand why I'm siding with Alberta independence. It's a chance to actually fix and change the problem. It's not that I hate Canada. It's not that I don't like Pierre. It's not that I won't vote for Conservatives. It's that this is an actual opportunity to right the wrongs and fix the actual problem at the source. Not, skipping around the edges and saying, oh, it can be okay for a little while. A lot of people somebody brought up earlier about Mark Carney shutting things down. How's it going to go with Bill 33? Let's get into that. Premier Smith put this out, and I'll bring it up on the screen larger for you guys. Canada needs to reform how we appoint judges to the Superior Trial Courts and the Courts of Appeal of the provinces, as well as the Supreme Court of Canada. I'm joining with Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, Ontario Premier Doug Ford, and Quebec Premier Francois Legault in writing to Prime Minister Mark Carney and requesting a new collaborative approach wherein our governments can meaningfully engage in fulfilling judicial positions in our respective jurisdictions. Now, down here, you can see the letter is already out. It's signed by all the premiers that she mentioned as of above. So for people saying, what happens when Carney does all this, or what's going to happen in Canada if he succeeds with this? I've mentioned before, and this happened when they were putting out the Charter of Rights in the 80s. 7 of 10 provinces, including Quebec, came back and said you had to have a notwithstanding clause. We covered this on the channel the other day, and this is what's happening. You've already got 4 provinces signing on for what Mark Carney's trying to do in the courts by saying no persona grata. We're not doing this. We're not cool with this. We have our jurisdictions for a reason. To get 3 other provinces to sign on to this isn't going to be difficult, considering Quebec has already joined and Quebec gets a veto. So I wouldn't be counting on any of this going through. And I say the same thing about C9, about C11. People go, well, it's almost at the Senate. It was at the Senate the last 2 times they tried to push it through. The problem is, at the end of the day, what the Senate has to look at is, how is this actually going to affect Canadians, and what's the end outcome for us if we pass this law knowing that it violates the Charter of Rights? How many challenges are going to come our way? Elizabeth May voted against C9 this week and said, you're going to be tying up the courts and the police and everything else with worthless arrests and trials. It's going to bog down the system.
Sober for 5 minutes.
What's that?
Maybe she was sober for 5 minutes.
Well, maybe, but regardless, you've even got crooked politicians like Elizabeth May coming in saying, this is no bueno. We can't do this. It's not good.
Yeah.
So
the provinces are supposed to have more autonomy from the federal government. Like the fact that Danielle is the first one in a long time to really exercise it, and people are freaking out, just shows how long the provinces have just taken edicts from Ottawa and just done whatever they said. You're supposed to be able to govern your province. I mean, it's not quite as independent as the states are, like each individual state, but you're still supposed to have more autonomy in your province than has been exhibited in our lifetimes in Canada.
Steve Jensen comes into the $5 super. Separation vote is a total rejection of the Canadian Constitution. We will no longer fall under any of their laws or courts.
Absolutely.
Good. Thank you for the super. JP Alberta first, $5 super chats. I wasn't shilling for poly of government. I was giving just one more reason that it doesn't matter because we're leaving. Oh yeah, no. I don't know about the viewers. I didn't think you were shilling. It's honesty, right? And it's the same thing I was talking about. When you look at the way it's constructed, and that's the one thing that this channel gets so angry about. When I pointed out Pierre's interview on Joe Rogan this week, a lot of people got mad. A lot of people told me to go play in traffic, to get out of here. I don't really care, guys. I get this stuff all day long. It's part of being on social media. It's part of being out there in front of everybody. It comes with the territory. But it's funny, just to me, the reason I bring it up is how often people just lose their minds when you dare question the sacred cow, the one part of politics you're not supposed to touch because it hurts somebody's feelings to even scrutinize or look at the bigger picture and say, how do we improve this? How do we make it better?
You know,
how do we fix the problem?
As a bit of a gym bro and an MMA guy myself, I can appreciate the fact that they talked kettlebells and workouts and MMA fighters, but that's not what I wanted to hear about. Like, they probably spent 15 to 20% of the entire podcast talking about shit that actually matters, and the rest they just talked about, what Pierre was doing when he was wrestling in high school and kettlebell workouts and MMA fights and stuff, which, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed that. I like when my politicians sound like like Pierce swore like several times. It was hilarious. So like you couldn't even, he's like, this is bullshit. Like it was so funny to hear him talk like that. But I like that. I like it when politicians sound like actual people you would have a normal conversation with. But once again, I wish they would have spent more time talking about shit that matters.
I bust my butt in Ontario and Quebec and the Maritimes are not taking my money anymore. This is what people don't understand is that when you get the scoff remarks, whether it's from our politicians, whether it's from other people, whether it's from other provinces and their leaders, not the people within the provinces, because we heard about testimony at the Freedom Convoy of people, truckers from Alberta, Quebec, other places saying, I never would have made friends with these people if this hadn't brought us together. There was a divide between provinces. There's I don't know how you want to put it. There's kind of a unwritten rule that you must hate the East if you live in the West, and et cetera, et cetera. Sure. But Westerners don't hate people in Quebec. We hate the Quebec government. We don't hate people in Ontario. We hate the Ontario government. We hate the federal government.
Well, some people in Ontario, if you're a polyamorous blue-haired they, them living in Toronto, we probably don't like you very much.
I love Canada. I love Canadians. But the problem is that I want you to think about this for a second. If you're on the other side of the country and angry about what we're talking about, if you're in the ocean and you're waving your hands for a life preserver and somebody drives by in a boat and laughs at you and then throws the life preserver way out in the ocean where you could never get it, that's kind of how Alberta's been felt for a long time, or how they felt the treatment from their government is. They're literally standing here saying, hey, not only could we fix a lot of the problems in this country, if you were just willing to recognize and work with us, it could make the lives better for all Canadians. It could improve our quality of life across the board. Our GDP would go up. Our lives would be more successful all around. And we're happy to share that with everybody. We just want to be able to get out and work. Look at our farmers. Look at our tech industry. Look at everything that Alberta offers. It's not just oil and gas, folks. All of it has been shut down and ignored by the federal government. So when I say it's time to go, we're in the water waving our hands, and the leaders of the rest of the country have scoffed at us and told us, yeah, it'll never happen. You're just going to stay and put up with it.
Shout out to Tamara in the chat. Welcome.
Yeah, the Quebecers are great people. It's the politicians. Thank you, Tamara. She couldn't have said it better myself. Tamara has so many amazing stories that I've heard her talk about people in Quebec, over in Gatineau, over all sorts of areas of Quebec where she's been to. I can honestly say I haven't been to Quebec, but I've heard it's a beautiful part of the country. I've heard the people are amazing. And there's this weird kind of, I guess, image on this channel that somehow, because I push for Alberta independence, that I don't like people in Quebec, or I don't like people in New Brunswick or Newfoundland or Ontario. And no, I don't like your governments. It has nothing to do with you as people. And I think that's the way most Albertans feel, is that we've just been ignored for too long, that we don't have another option. We have to get out of here. We are being given the opportunity to do something fantastic that, much like Jeff has said, it's going to be the first domino in many that fall, and it's going to start pushing the rest of the country to decide, hey, maybe we follow Alberta, or maybe it's time we get away too. Maybe
we're not trying to get away from all of you. We just want to get away from this.
Yeah.
This controlling this over here. Everybody in here gets to decide what happens over here, and we don't like it anymore.
It's when you look at that red region and realize that that's who's in charge of who runs your country. Look how large Canada is. For anybody watching outside of the country, the second largest landmass in the world. And that little red area decides who runs the country. And inside that red area, you've got the wokest of the woke in like areas like Toronto, who they don't care how difficult their lives get, because they're leaning on their parents to allow them to live in the basements and to go out and have fun and not really pay attention to reality or how things work. They've never held a steady job. They've never worked in a corporate industry. And the reason I say that is because I know for a fact my wife working in oil and gas, she says, look, you can't discriminate when people come into the door with resumes and job applications. But anytime somebody was talking about pronouns or the need for safe spaces or I don't work well with blah, 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 they would always take the application and kind of just put it at the bottom of the pile. It's not that they don't want to hire people based on their expertise, but it's too exhausting and too stressful to hire people that don't have a grip on reality.
And you're just going to have to spend your entire time having HR meetings with the last person who said the word retard in their presence.
Yeah. So it's this generation of people that keep voting for this woke nonsense, as well as those who have their investments, who are retired, who don't really care about the younger generation. The younger generation in particular is going to have to realize this isn't the way the world works. And President Donald Trump recently stated that he doesn't want Canada to become the 51st state anymore. He has no interest in it. And I think it's the best. Commies. Yeah, I think it's the best possible move he could make, because now that Mark Carney doesn't have a scapegoat to blame anymore, now that Doug Ford can't go around, and yet even though this week Doug Ford is still blaming President Trump for everything that's happening in Ontario, people are going to start waking up and realizing while their jobs flee and while the economy gets bad, this isn't President Trump's fault. They're going to say, when was the last time President Trump attacked Canada and said it was 51st state? When was the last time he put on a tariff? When was the last time he actually did anything that's influencing what you're talking about? Things are about to get horribly bad in Canada. And forgive me for saying this, folks, but to a certain extent, I welcome it, because it's going to start that red area that Matt just showed on the map. It's going to wake up that red area, at least those who matter, who maybe can't go back to mom and dad's basement, the ones who can't afford to live. And they're going to start saying, yeah, I got to have to start voting differently. Even if Alberta leaves, Alberta leaving could be the best thing that ever happened to Ontario, because you guys are the next highest GDP in the country. So the government would then have to focus on your job sectors. They would have to start focusing on your economy, because they would be reliant on that in order to continue operating. You guys would be in a good sit if Alberta left. So Ontario should be actually pushing for Alberta to leave, because the alternative of staying, folks, is what we talked about earlier, getting back on that hamster wheel. You might get a conservative government. You might get some changes. But then a liberal comes back in and just undoes all the work. We saw that with Justin Trudeau.
As a libertarian, the fact that you have to worry so much about who's in power in Ottawa says that the people who live in Ottawa, or so the government in Ottawa, has too much say over your daily life. Like, you shouldn't feel such weight of the government on your day-to-day existence. You shouldn't have to worry about it this much. It's not their job to police your every thought and decision. Yeah, and for those people in Mega City 1 who voted Liberal and who plan to continue to vote Liberal, we have but one thing to say to you.
Go ahead and call your dads, tell them about your alternative lifestyle as a gay communist, and then, who knows, maybe eat a lollipop. I don't know what flamers do with their time, but I'd imagine it's something along those lines.
Better words couldn't have been said. Nilok comes in with a $5 super chat. Alberta is the last bastion of freedom. People need to get on board or get out of the way. Carney's trying to take all the power he can. It'll get worse. Exactly. It needs to almost. It needs to almost.
If he gets his majority and starts ramming those bills through, like, oh my God.
Master of Snatch has said it many times when he's talked about the butter revolution. When you get to the point that people can't eat, when people can't even get on with their daily lives anymore, that's when you start sparking revolution. And if people wish to do it within the bounds of what's legal, that's when people are going to start waking up and saying, all right, look, I've tried voting my way out of this. It's not working. I've tried getting a better job. I've tried working multiple jobs. I've tried cutting back. I've tried cutting good things out of my life that I enjoy doing. I've stopped going on vacation. I've downsized my vehicle. I've started taking the bus. I bought an electric vehicle. Whatever the circumstances are, people are going to start saying, I just can't do this anymore. The only option is independence and changing the way things are run. This is where, again, and I know I'm a broken record, folks, I just don't understand, again, how people can listen to Keith, how people can listen to everything that's out in the front, how you can look at that graphic that I put up about all the things we could do in a year and say, nah, I just don't want that. I'd rather have a red and white flag sticking outside my house and know that I stayed in Canada to put up with the government's abuse. It's not about patriotism. It's about your quality of life. If your government is going to ignore you and tell you that you should just shut up and pay, when do you stop being a sadist and start saying, I'm going to look out for number one for a minute here? That's what I don't understand. Real Steve Jensen, $5 super chat. Hi, Mrs. Fringe, the cornerstone of Mr. Fringe.
She's the entire foundation, bro.
She is the foundation. I'll tell you right now, I would not be here doing this today if it wasn't for Mrs. Fringe and her support. She backs everything I've ever done, and she's a lot more than a cornerstone. But thank you for the super chat. Gerald Cooper, $2 super chat. The slow roll last Saturday got over 500 signatures. That's amazing.
Just on one Saturday, 500 people and one spot, not including all the other little pop-ups that people are doing. So think about the numbers, and this has been going on for months.
Yeah, and people are going to say, well, that's not a lot. All the naysayers, that's not a lot of signatures. When you think about it, it is. When you think about in Spruce Grove, I seen two old ladies getting signatures for Tommy the Commie. And near the end of the signature process, they were taking a picture and celebrating their 500th signature total throughout the entire campaign. So, yeah, we're kicking ass there, folks. Pilot Life with $7 super chat. I'm proud to be an Albertan. Alberta strong and free. It's all I got left. I've always been proud to be a Canadian until, the Trudeau era. I started to be a little embarrassed. When I seen the leadership that started from Premier Smith, and I still like Danielle, I still like what she does. It made me very happy to be in Alberta. It made me very proud that we had representation, that at least our premier was going to stand up to those who were hurt by the jab, those who were wrongfully prosecuted, that she was going to ensure freedom of speech reigned through the province, where she's going to protect our children from terrible procedures or influence of them. She's done a lot of things that make me proud to be an Albertan, that it's not just about independence. It's about, I don't see any other provinces with their premiers standing up for their people the way that Danielle Smith has done the same for Alberta. Now, I will give concessions to those like Wab Canoe. He stood up the other day and said that they're taking I believe it's the PST off of groceries.
Yep.
To help Manitobans. So rightfully so. If you have the control in the provincial jurisdiction to do so, hats off for doing that. I think it's great.
I don't like the NDP. I don't like their policies. I don't like, that entire thing. But as far as premiers go, Wab Canoe's all right. I'm not going to sing his praises, but he's better than, some.
At least he's doing something. He's not giving people land titles. And we're going to get into land titles in a second, folks, just to show you how shitty the country's getting. Dutchie, think of your family and their families. Independence is our only choice.
Absolutely.
That to me matters more than a flag. And I sorry if that offends some people.
We got a flag right here.
But the best flag. But at the end of the day, folks, that again, I keep referencing the old airplane going down. You have to look after yourself before you can take care of others. That's what Alberta's doing here. We're looking after ourselves and saying, look, the country isn't looking after themselves. We got to take care of us. Then we can take care of everybody else once we can do so. That's the process. Matt, what is happening with land titles? Because I've heard there's a lot when it comes to home ownership and land titles. And China. I know there's been a lot of talk about China. There's now new talk about China, and it's not good, ladies and gentlemen. China is getting involved in heavily deep ways. It's not good. I don't like it.
So remember how the people the NDP in BC have granted title to the First Nations in BC over half of the Lower Mainland or more. I'm not exactly sure how it is. First Nations communities in British Columbia are increasingly being approached by Chinese companies that are interested in gaining access to their traditional territories, particularly for projects related to energy and mining. Some companies are very proactive in doing the right thing by talking to First Nations communities at the earliest stages. Others are unfamiliar with the existence of Aboriginal title rights and have neglected the obligation to consult, resulting in problems for the project down the road. A properly resourced First Nations China strategy will ensure that the First Nations are prepared to respond to a variety of requests from potential investors and will increase the opportunities and benefits for all parties. So they're developing a strategy to sell resources to China, who has already expressed interest.
So if you thought dirty Chinese money in areas like Vancouver was a problem before, this is the tip of the iceberg. It's about to get significantly worse. Why is it that... Can anybody answer to me in the chat why so many people in this country are so hyped on communism? Why they want China so bad? I don't understand why people just want to cause all this damage and destruction. Like, they're either really stupid or they just hate people that much.
I don't understand how people don't understand that China is a hostile foreign entity. that is permanently engaged in economic, cyber warfare, industrial espionage, spying, you name it, everything against any Western nation, election interference, social engineering, all of it. They are literally the number one threat to the Western world. It ain't Russia, it's China. So I don't know what the hell we're doing here, because literally in his speech after he became prime minister, Mark Carney named China as our number one security threat. And now he's got the Hong Dong all the way in his mouth and we're allies. I don't understand it.
I don't get it. Feisty Fry brought this up because a lot of people are saying, check out what Jasmine Lane said about WAB. We showed today the World Sikh Organization and the ties to the NDP. I get all of that. Guys, WAB just said Trump tariffs is why Canada's unaffordable. I understand all of that. I'm not advocating for WAB Canoe.
No.
I'm taking a win for the Manitoba people. That's all it is. That if their lives get a little easier, at least something's being done. That's all. Believe me, I'm not suggesting anybody vote for WAB Canoe. I am not propping him up by any means.
No, not at all.
I can't stand WAB Canoe, but at least something beneficial. You don't hear too often about premiers coming out saying we're going to give something back to people that's actually beneficial. Usually it's some small amount of money. When you add up the PST that comes in, I mean, it's double what the GST is, isn't it? It's another 6 or 7%.
Yep.
So 7% off of all your food, folks, coming back to you every single week or however often you go out and buy your groceries. That's a win.
Why is there
That's a win
tax
for
on
Manitobans.
groceries at all? That's my question.
There shouldn't be. There shouldn't be.
Like, just like we have to call out people on our side like Pierre and Danielle when we don't like something they're doing, it's okay for us to say, hey, WAB Canoe did a thing that was okay.
Yeah, that's the way it always goes, I'm afraid.
Wouldn't it be nice if the federal government just took all of the taxes off of gas for a couple months? Like, the price at the pump is like 30% tax.
Well, Danielle did that for a little while.
Provincial, because that's all she has
again.
authority over. The federal gas tax is what really gets us.
Yep. Steve Jensen comes in, $10 super chat. I was at Whistle Stop when the slow roll arrived. What an awesome event. People were so happy. I got to meet several of Alberta's major independence podcasters. So happy to hear that. I really wanted to be there. I just, again, after our trip and everything, I needed a weekend. I'm sorry, folks. I'll try to be at the future events. There's going to be an event coming up with Jason Levine that I'm involved with in mid-April. And a few other events I'm going to talk about once they're announced. So a lot's going to be happening on the independence front. I'm going to try to be at the majority of those. I will be at Keith Wilson's event this Sunday in, where is it? I'll pull it up later. I don't want to, it's near Sherwood Park. Let me get rid of the super chat and then I'll put it up there. Rob Hildebrand, $2 super chat. We knew China was involved in BC land. Well, yeah, they've been laundering dirty money in the houses.
The 90s.
Yeah, that's why a lot of houses were empty in Vancouver and things like that. You had Chinese laundered money in their real estate market. Let me just pull up what Keith Wilson
substances trafficking as well many times.
Yeah, I was gonna say Morinville. It's Morinville. Keith will be in Morinville this Sunday, March 29th, talking with Mitch Sylvester. This is not the debate with Fat Stalin. That's not until May. But Keith is going to be Sunday, March 29th at the Community Cultural Center in Morinville at 9502 100th Avenue. Petition signings taking place there from 6 to 10 p.m. So if you haven't signed the petition yet, please, if you're around the Morinville area, come out to Morinville, join that. Speakers start at 7 o'clock. It's a free event and everybody's welcome. I will be there. I know Mike's going to be there with me. A few others, maybe. We'll see.
Did you ask him if you're allowed to stream it?
Not yet. I'm still waiting to hear back on that one.
All right.
Because I know Freedom Calendar streams those events. Sometimes they don't.
Right.
Here's with the attacks that are coming towards canvassers and everything else. Sometimes Stay Free Alberta says, look, we just don't want to be streaming some of these events. Even Freedom Calendar gets shut down on some of them. So I always wait for the nod. I know typically they can't necessarily stop me from streaming those events, but I kind of want to stay in their good books.
Yeah, like they'll know you did it after the fact. They'll see your video. So
yeah. Dutchy has a good point here. People should have to live a year in a shithole communist country and then make up a comment like that. It would be nice if they did, but I don't even think it would matter at this point. They'd still try to play it off.
Derek, Carney announced that we can go to China without a passport now. We're going to have international free travel, so we can go hang out in China if we want.
You know who should do that? Rachel Gilmore. I know you've got a clip about Rachel Gilmore. Did you guys miss this one with Rachel Gilmore talking to Antifa, stating that we should be attacked, that we shouldn't be safe? Keep in mind how much this channel and other channels on this platform get censored, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, if we talked like this, we'd be done.
We'd be shut down instantly, but Rachel Gilmore can get ahead of it. Now, keep in mind that Rachel Gilmore also has these videos on, what's it called? Bubble Pop? This is a paid subscription service. I don't even know what
that is.
It's her platform that she's got her viewers pay to watch. And then she puts everything on socials. This woman makes a killing financially off of what she charges lefties to listen to her. Take a look at what she's saying with this guy wearing
guyliner here.
I'm
Captain
wondering if you
Guyliner.
could briefly, obviously you've just dedicated a whole book to it, so it is maybe more complex than you have the opportunity to explain here, but could you tell us what Antifa is, and maybe more specifically, what it isn't?
Yeah, great question, especially the last part. So Antifa is just a shortening of the word anti-fascist, which, I think, or I'd like to think, maybe not, most of the people listening to this would self-identify that way. But Antifa as a word, actually refers to a pretty specific thing. And that's like a, specific, tradition, style, tendency of politics that seeks to destroy the far right by any means necessary. And they're kind of like three.
Keep in mind, by the way, as you're watching this, that we're all far right, according to them. Everybody who doesn't agree with the full hard left communist position is far right.
Three basic tenets of Antifa or militant anti-fascism that I lay out in the book. The first is this idea of we go where they go, right? It's like you will confront fascists. You can't let them have the streets. And sometimes you have to confront them violently. It's basically an open embrace of militancy as a tactic. It's unapologetic. Even though, we can get into this later, but I think that militancy is really pretty rare and selective. The second element is that this idea of fascists should have no platform to speak or organize. And that's essentially, again, this kind of idea, you can't let them have the streets, you can't let them rally, you should get their permits revoked if they're holding a rally, you should, tear down their posters and propaganda, you should get them deplatformed from social media for violating terms of service, kind of stuff like that. It kind of rejects this notion of the open marketplace of ideas. And
what's that?
The third big tenet is this axiom you hear a lot on the left, which is this idea of we protect us. And when I say we protect us, what I'm saying is that there's an understanding in Antifa and anti-fascists, and they lay this out in their principles, is that, they do not work with law enforcement or the state. They do not trust law enforcement or the state in the fight against fascism because they see them as kind of inherently white supremacist or capitalist or racist institutions that at any given moment will, collaborate with the far right and with fascists.
Oh boy, we have a lot to unpack here. First of all, somebody check that guy's hard drive.
Right.
First and foremost, somebody check that dude's hard drive. But he literally says we don't believe in the open market of ideas. You are literally being a fascist while calling yourself anti-fascist. And we don't involve the police, and we don't like the police. The police are the only thing that keeps guys like me and Mike from coming down and rolling up your whole crew in about 15 minutes, buddy. So you should just take a seat.
It's funny when they talk about if you don't like what they're doing, you should rip down their signs, you should cancel their events. You
sound familiar?
Yeah, this is where, like Dutchie said earlier, these guys should have to go and live a year over in China or somewhere and see how they like it. Not like somewhere where they're they could be comfortable. I'm talking somewhere where it's hardcore. Maybe they go work in a sweatshop and understand what real where they really understand what communism is. Maybe they see how good they have it here. We're supposed to have a democracy. I know people are going to say, Fringe, don't kid yourself. We haven't had one for ages. I get it. But we're supposed to have one. We're supposed to have a difference in opinion. We're supposed to be allowed to openly express ourselves and have free speech. Keep in mind, Rachel Gilmore has been contracted by outfits like Global News. She was brought in and then fired to be a what was it, a fact checker during the federal election?
Oh,
they changed their mind on her, but she's affiliated with mainstream shill prostitute media. She's been in contact with the Liberal Party members in Canada.
Letting somebody with a very clear and stated bias towards one side being the fact checker, like.
Well, not only that, but when you bring on people that are going to talk about pushing violence onto citizens, yet the government's pushing bills right now in the House of Commons to talk about keeping you safe online, but these are the people that they employ, that they bring in and contract to. That doesn't make any sense to me in this country. It's one of the things that I wanted to bring up about this channel, because a lot of people have been talking about how if you look at a lot of channels, whether it be Jasmine Lane, Moose on the Loose, this channel, The Pleb, other channels, videos from independent media aren't really getting out like they used to. And a lot of people were speculating, we talked about it on Friday night, a lot of people are speculating that Bill C-9's already here, that these are online platforms like YouTube already ramping up to silence other independent media outlets or independent news channels from getting the information out to you, the viewer. What's funny is that while I've been looking all week, when I've been looking at the numbers, you'll remember Moose on the Loose put out a video at the end of 2025 talking about how independent news channels are more viewed on platforms like YouTube. They have more viewership than those of CBC, CTV, Global, etc.
When they released that list, like, we were crushing CBC and Global.
Well, what's funny now is that when you go onto YouTube and you look at the latest CBC News videos, I know they have them all divided up into little groups, but certain videos from CBC News, City News, CTV, all of a sudden they went from having no views to all of a sudden 250,000 views in a day on a video. They're getting all these massive views, while right-leaning independent channels like this one, like Jasmine Lane, like Moose on the Loose, have seen a dramatic plunge in their viewership and being pushed out in the algorithm. And YouTube puts it down to, oh, it's because your videos aren't being hyped anymore, or people aren't commenting or liking, you're not getting subscribers. This channel's down 70% of its viewing status this month. Yeah, they keep saying, like, you said a word or you did something. What I think is happening is a bigger move to silence those who put the information out there while putting out mainstream outlets to push propaganda.
Well, you remember when Elon bought X and the Twitter files, right? Where they released all the emails talking about how the people who were in charge of Twitter actively suppressed right-leaning channels and deplatformed them. And so I mean, YouTube is or Google is probably in the same boat. They're a left-leaning organization. The people who work in big tech often are. And it would not shock me if tomorrow Elon bought YouTube or Google, as it were, and, got into their emails and found something similar going on.
Yeah. It's funny because, I know Randy mentions it could be paid bot views. It doesn't matter. It's that when you look at Moose's comparison at the end of the year, we're only 4 months into this year, not even. We're on the threshold of the 4th month of 2026, and there's been a steady decline. And I thought maybe it's political fatigue. Maybe, it's people aren't interested anymore, or we're talking too much about one specific topic. But when you look at the mainstream outlets and the views that they're accumulating, when we know what they were getting towards the end of last year, there's definitely something weird happening. And I'm not saying that's the only fault or that this channel doesn't make mistakes, but I've reached out to YouTube support before and said, hey, I've noticed that my videos aren't moving as much as they used to. And they've said, well, you kind of made a mistake talking about certain things like procedures that children might undergo. So that gets you about a 2-week shadow ban. They don't call it a shadow ban, but it's, well, because of our advertisers and whatnot, we can't push videos out. So you might want to stay away from that. But they try and focus it on those aspects to say, well, you were naughty, so you're not going to get as much push. But CTV News, City News, CBC all of a sudden get all this push, and we get nothing. Seems kind of concentrated to silence those they disagree with. And many people say, well, then go to Rumble, go to somewhere else. YouTube is the most viewed platform on the internet for media. If we want people to get the information, we have to stick there. The one question I always ask YouTube is, did I break terms of service? No. So I'm fine with it, folks. For anybody who says everybody's here for the money, I'm going to keep pushing the information. I don't care if it gets 100 views or 100,000 views. I'm still going to push out the media and the views and the videos. And it's up to the viewers to come here, to come to other channels, to support your other channels, and make sure that you're regularly watching all of their content so that they can continue to stay on this platform and make content for you. One of the things
maybe if we put some eyeliner on, Rachel will let us on Bubble Pop.
Maybe we can go on there and talk about all the nasty things that should happen in Canada. I don't know. One of the things I've heard about people is hyping videos. I'm going to look a little more into that. I'm not sure how that works. I thought it was just a trendy thing to do. Apparently it's the new in thing. So if you're on YouTube and they ever ask for you to hype a channel, or the option is there, make sure you hype the channel. It helps us, apparently.
You know what we should do? What we should really do is, like, can we get in on some of this? The government of Canada is investing $17.2 million over 2 years for podcasts.
Oh, really?
For Northern First Nations podcasts.
Oh,
podcasts.
We have to be First Nations.
Can't we get some of that? Like, our podcast is cool. How do we get on some of that $17.2 million of tax money?
We got to bring in Randy Bullshields.
Randy Bullshields.
We got Rob came in, or Bonnie. Bonnie's become a new member of the Patriots Club. Thank you so much. Alberta Gamer, $5 super chat. They don't want to unalive you because you're Nazis. They call you the not C's because they want to unalive you. There you go.
Pretty much.
You know who is First Nations, who has First Nations heritage? Tamara. Tamara has her podcast. Maybe she should look into that and see if, see if she can get some of that
sweet government cheese.
Wouldn't that be funny if Tamara could get funded by the government that arrested her and threw her in jail? I think that'd be a fun little slap back at the government. Not because of the money aspect, but just to troll, just for the lulz.
Even if she can get a couple $100 out of them, just to troll.
I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be absolutely hilarious. Matt, what else? Do we got anything else, or where are we sitting here? Is it time for Q&A?
Oh no, we're gonna do one more thing before we do Q&A. We have to talk about Big Gary.
Oh no, not Gary. Really? We got to talk about Gary?
We got to talk
Why you no bring the gun to me and then I give you $25 gift card to Tim Horton?
Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Why you redeem it?
So as those know, we got our emails this week saying we're all going to be horrible criminals and arrested. We must comply. We must redeem. And, he came out when I heard on Monday that he was going to do a press conference. I actually kind of had a little bit of hope because the gun grab is obviously crap. They're not getting any returns. Everybody's told them to kick rocks, the provinces, the police forces. And I had small hope that they were going to come out and say they were going to scrap it. But what I thought was going to happen was they were going to kick the can down the road again, give it another year of amnesty. What I absolutely was shocked by and did not expect was for them to double down and say, you have 2 weeks or we're coming for you. And Big Gary announces that his plan is to send volunteers like off-duty and retired police officers to come and seize our property.
Come on. Really?
Week. So far, only 2.5% of the estimated 2 million affected firearms have been declared.
2.5%.
98% of firearms owners haven't made a declaration. So if they're not declaring by next week, what's your plan, Minister?
So if you will recall, the number of prohibited firearms are far less than I think your number indicates. We have over 26,000 individuals.
I doubt it.
Over 2,000 firearms that have been declared, prohibited firearms that have been declared. And the plan we have is, as of March the 31st, the time to complete the enrollment will be done, and then the RCMP and other agencies will be available throughout the spring and the summer to do the collection.
So, Minister, you're saying that RCMP members, we just heard an Auditor General report saying we're short 3,400 members. We're dealing with a wave of violent crime across this country, and you're saying that your plan is over the spring and the summer to deploy RCMP officers to go door to door to firearms owners and seize their firearms?
So this is a voluntary program, Mr. Lloyd, as you're aware. And the RCMP resources and the resources we will use with law enforcement does not contemplate in any way using existing resources. These are additional resources. So these are those who are off duty, those who may be retired.
Retarded.
For example, has their own mechanism. But let me.
Okay, I can't listen to this guy anymore. But basically,
no.
I hate him so much. I mean, every time I think I hate somebody the most, like, you know, Chrystia Freeland and her obnoxious whiny voice, or Mark Carney, or Sean Fraser, that, oh, I'm trying not to swear. trying real hard not to swear, guys. Because, you know, we don't want to get deplatformed for being evildoers. But his plan to send retired, like, who's volunteering? Are there people volunteering for this? He's like, we will not be using the active RCMP. These will be additional resources. Have you got these people already? Are they signed up? Because everybody I've talked to who's in the RCMP or was says, yeah, we ain't doing that. Nobody's doing that. So
unbelievable.
What's her face, Miss? What's her minister? Natalie Provost, who was at, which is, by the way, did you see the press conference on Monday where she like physically shoved him out of the way so she could speak? That's hilarious. Remember when Trudeau like was in trouble for months because he grabbed that one lady by the arm and moved her around? She's been on a crusade. I mean, I get it. She was at Polytechnic. She was at that terrible event and she has trauma, but her trauma is not policy. You can't take your trauma and your emotions and shriek them and spew them all over the rest of us. We do not have a rifle problem in this country, okay? We do not. So I don't know what their stated goal is other than no guns for anybody at all ever. Over north of 90% of the gun crime in this country is committed with illegal handguns that have been smuggled in from the United States. There's almost zero crime committed by rifle, and of that, not a lot of it is committed with a legally purchased rifle. So this is all nonsense. We are not giving you shit. We are not declaring anything, Big Gary. We do not redeem.
We don't redeem. You hear that?
Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Do not redeem it! Why you redeem it?
It's not happening. Not happening. Steve Jensen came into the $5 super. Thank you so much. I really like the idea that young people must do mandatory military service. Great for nation building. It does a dose of reality too. I agree. And Mike talked about it, I believe it was on Monday, that it doesn't necessarily have to be, on the front lines. It could be a number of different things that they do in service. But it's good for you. It builds character. Put some hair on your ass. Real Steve Jensen, $2 super chat. YouTube censoring any comment criticizing the lefties. They always do. Thank you for the super. Major Flip, $10 super. Fringe, they're using the algorithms to shadow ban your content. They shop at Sofa King and they're dishonest. YouTube is collaborating with the MSM just like they did during the scamdemic. I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Thank you for the super.
And we're not even at the point now where we're going to get the declared vote. Like, we're still getting signatures for the referendum. It's only going to ramp up. Once they release the signatures and they see 1 million Albertans have signed it, they're going to nuke this whole channel.
We're going to be in big trouble. We're going to be in big trouble.
Pirate signal. I don't even know how we do Q&A. The chat keeps freezing.
I've got it pulled up live from the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to get your Q&A in now, let's get it in. We're almost at the 1,000 mark, guys. We're 28 likes away from 1,000. Let's just.
Are you not entertained? Do you not wish t-shirts?
I will gift 2 t-shirts regardless tonight. Again, thanks to Dutchie for donating the other 3 that we've donated. Regardless, we're going to gift 2, but I'd like to see 1,000 before the end of the stream. So I'm going to help you guys out. Help me out, guys. Let's get those 1,000 likes in there. Look at that, $9.99 as of right now. You guys are perfect. Now you guys are perfect. Throw your Q&As in there. And if I can't put them on the screen, I won't, but it looks like the chat's moving.
For the moment.
And thank you to everybody who got us to 1,000. We're at 1,000 likes. You guys are great. Look at that. All we had to do was ask.
Hell yes.
Dutchie says, turn up the volume. That's something to do with the streaming software. I apologize, Dutchie. We've got it up. We've got it cranked. It's or maybe I can. Nope.
I did not hear that Meta and YouTube got sued this week. Interesting. What was it about?
I did not. We'll have to look into that. I did not.
Is it because they use their algorithm to suppress people? Because that would be interesting.
So here's an interesting question, because we talked about refineries. Somebody asked, does Alberta have gas refineries? They have a small one, and it outputs a very small amount. But Eastern Canada has a lot more refineries. And again, we could build refineries if, again, bureaucracy just got out of the way. Although building refineries, it's not something that's done over a couple months. It takes time. But this is part of the reason why Alberta is so reliant on other countries to buy our oil. This is why you're going to see a distraction coming up, and it's going to be a big distraction. You've got Keystone XL being mentioned a lot, that the United States wants to revive Keystone XL. Alberta was going to be selling their bitumen through Keystone XL at an incredible loss just to get their oil out of the ground, because Americans know that we don't have any other options. So Danielle Smith's going to start probably peddling Keystone XL as if it's some kind of big win to try and convince Albertans to stay in Canada. Don't buy into it. We need hundreds of pipelines. We don't just need one. We don't just need one going to the Port of Prince Rupert. We need emissions caps removed. We need tanker bans removed. We need to be allowed to do business wherever we see fit. There's over $1 trillion of oil in the ground. We need to start getting our hands on that.
You need to be flexible in where you can sell, because if you have only one customer, then that customer has you by the balls. I got one. Oh,
Sarah's got. Oh, well, bring yours up after. Sarah says, "Did you hear about the sanctions from the USA on a BC company for a possible link to Hezbollah and money laundering?" Yes, I had that in today's video. I won't get into it now because you guys who watched the video already got that information. If you want my answer, go check out the video. I got one more I'm going to bring up, and then bring up yours, Matt.
Oh, okay.
Do you truly believe that people will wake up on this liberal nonsense? I don't think your people will wake up. Again, it depends how difficult life gets for that red area that we've shown in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that have to wake up. It's not Albertans. It's not people in Saskatchewan. It's not Manitobans. It's not even people in Ontario or Quebec. It's that small red region in the country where they have to wake up and life has to get difficult.
Oh, man, in the last 10 years, Winnipeg looks pretty red. So does Edmonton.
Yep. But that's the problem, is that a lot of people from East that can't afford to live there anymore, they're moving West, because even though prices are high, it's still a lot cheaper than where they're coming from.
And then they bring their politics with them and vote for the same policies that they just ran away from.
That's why you've seen in Alberta that 2 Liberal seats passed in the last federal election, not just one. And you're going to see more if we don't get the hell out of here.
Catherine Baker, how can we convince those friends we know Alberta needs to separate but are still on the fence? You tell them to come talk to us.
That's Katrina Baker.
Katrina, oh, sorry. But more so, you have to be educated yourself, which you can get either listening to us or Keith Wilson
or us.
going to Stay Free Alberta. Okay, us.
Just us.
You have to have the information at hand in order to counter their silly mainstream propaganda arguments, and just have a conversation like as I am talking to you right now. No yelling, no calling them a libtard, and either they're going to respond or they're not. And if they scream and go, I'm not listening to you, you traitor, then fuck them. There's no hope for them anyway. Oh, there it is. There's my one.
There's your one. Everybody gets one. Yeah, Keith said it best. Be civil. Ask questions for those who are on the fence. We've talked about this many times. Just ask them, questions like, why do you think Canada should remain in Alberta? If it's a matter of, well, because we've always been a part of Canada and this is how Canada works or anything else. Yes, but why? What is the benefit to us remaining in Canada aside from patriotism? Ask about the financials.
I don't like change.
But that's when you start to educate. Do you understand? Do you know how many jobs have left the province in the last few years? Do you know how many migrants have come into this province that are taking jobs from hardworking Albertans? Ask them when the last time they went to a coffee shop. When was the last time you went to a drive-through or a Tim Hortons or anywhere else? Not that you should go to Tim Hortons; it's disgusting. But when was the last time you saw a white person working there and not a temporary foreign worker? And it's not a racist question to ask that. Those temporary foreign workers are manipulated and abused financially with the promise of citizenship. So it's not like they're getting a golden ticket. They probably think they're on cloud 9, but the reality is, folks, they're being abused by the government.
I don't like it when Tim Hortons took away the bread bowl chili. It's crap.
I love when you bring in Alex Jones. Let's here's the thing. You got to ask those questions. You got to start asking, do you know that Alberta has $1 trillion worth of energy under the ground right now and the cleanest policies in the world to pull it out of the ground?
$1 trillion?
More than $1 trillion, multiple trillion. What does Keith said it best? What does $1 trillion look like? Have you ever seen $1 trillion? Think of all the things that we could do if they're pro education, if they're pro medical, if they prefer unions and things like that. Start asking them, do you understand the resources that our medical professions could have and how many doctors we could get in this province if people were taking a 30% pay increase overnight, and better resources, better building, better funding, better everything? You know, when was the last time you went to a hospital emergency room and got in right away? When was the last time you booked an appointment for your doctor and were able to see them in a reasonable time frame?
And when you tried to get into that hospital, who was the waiting room full of?
Well, that's another good question. I mean, when you break it down break it down not by the ultimate, hey, it's all about money or it's all about oil and gas. Start asking the real questions. What if we could give our children better education? What if we had more money to build more schools, hospitals, and homes for people? What if the people who work in those positions made more or better money than they already do, and they weren't always out demanding a raise? They weren't always out on strike. What would happen then? How much better would your life be if you went to the grocery store and you could actually afford to fill your cart and leave with money in your pocket?
What if
and
I
make
went to the grocery store
meals?
and a steak wasn't $45 or whatever it is?
Yeah, like Alberta beef. You must obey the Alberta gods. You
obey the God.
Eat our beef, for it is our flesh, and drink our oil, for it is our blood.
I wish, but sorry, I can't. Even though you guys are only 8 hours away from me, I can't afford Alberta beef. I have to buy the beef that's imported from Australia and New Zealand. Thank you very much, because it's way cheaper.
I got a few honorable mentions to jump in here. We've got Gina coming in with $5 from chat. Albertan independence people need to take all their money out of Canada banks. They will freeze them before the referendum to force you to vote to stay. That'd be again, that's only going to push independence further. I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to have to be careful how they go about it. If they do, how many people do you know that'll get their bank account frozen that say, well, then to hell with Canada, I'm voting to get the hell out of here, if that was the case. Ali with a $5 super chat. Saturdays, 2 to 3 p.m., Calgary City Hall. Iranians hold anti-Islamic regime rallies every week. Lots of pro-independence people who don't know about the petition.
Well, go tell them.
Iranians hold anti-Islamic regime rallies every week.
Because the Iranian people weren't originally Islamic. They had the revolution in 1979. So they're basically subjugated
I know, but
in Iran.
People are going to hate that I say this, but stop. Can we stop with the protests all the time?
About countries that aren't this one?
Yeah, can we stop protesting things in other countries? How come people aren't out every weekend protesting, hey, the Mark Carney government just signed $1 billion contract with Japan that takes all the money out of this country and puts it in Brookfields? How come we don't have people protesting the Canadian government saying, hey, I have firearms and I haven't done anything wrong my whole life and they're going to come take them away from me? How come people in Ontario aren't protesting saying, hey, all of us are losing our goddamn jobs, pardon the blasphemy, because Doug Ford and Mark Carney don't know their head from their ass, and we can't afford to live anymore? People should be out protesting saying, I can't afford to live because my government makes stupid decisions. My prime minister is a temporary foreign prime minister. He only comes here once every month for a couple of days in the House of Commons and then jet sets around the world. Again, I can't get anything done with my life. Those who have been elected to represent me, whether I like them or not, aren't even here to do so. Those are the things we should be protesting. Hi, my name's Dave, and I can't get a job because somebody last name Singh took the other one from me. I can't work here anymore. Shut the doors. I don't care what's happening in Iran. I don't care what's happening in Israel. I don't care what's happening in Palestine. I don't give a shit. what's happening around the world right now with India running out of fuel. I'm paying almost $2 a liter right now because of my incompetent government.
$1.75 here.
Like, let me tell you something. Before we left 2 weeks ago to go on vacation with the kids, gas was $1.03 a liter. $1.03. That's 2 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, it's almost $2. It's gone up almost a whole dollar. So for Americans, think if your gas just doubled in 2 weeks. I'm sure it has in some places.
Some place in Canada that had oil and refined gas that we could use in our own country, and we didn't rely on global oil prices.
Man, imagine that. Imagine that. Sounds like a fantasy world to me. I don't know where that could happen. I don't know what could possibly happen there. Steve Jensen with a $5 super. For fence sitters, Critical Compass published a video of Chris Scott speaking. Excellent content. There you go. Thank you very much. I'd like to lead a protest against Derek's anti-protest policy. Snatch,
that is your right.
If you can get the people protesting doing that, that is your right. You go right ahead and enjoy yourself. Have a lollipop. Go have a lollipop. Feel better. Do we have any more Q&As? Then we're going to get to our giveaway. Let's try and get another Q&A in here.
Chat's frozen again, I think.
Yeah, I've got it up on mine.
I'm gonna scroll up.
Oh, get out of here.
That's great.
No, get out of here, you knucklehead, but really I love you. Did you hear Carney got caught funding Hezbollah? Yeah, we talked about that in today's video. Go watch today's video. Again, our videos are being shut down, suppressed. Put them on, even if you watch them already, put them on mute. Let them run through. That helps us.
Put them on in your car while you're driving around. Just listen to the audio. Let the video play.
777 says, I've got a Q&A. Can you design some Alberta capes? No capes. I'd love to if I could figure it out.
I'm Alberta man.
I don't know. I don't know how we do that.
Just take the flag and just order one of those flags and wear it as a cape. It's easy. You just walk around going, I'm Alberta man. Where's the independence going?
There. Whoopa Latuda. I can't highlight the comment because the tab isn't moving. He says, I let the videos play on mute, on loop while I'm sleeping. He's doing it right. He's doing it right. That's the way to do it, ladies and gents.
This is the way.
This is the way. Ali just put in a $5 super chat. Again, the chat isn't moving, so I'm just going to read it. I won't be able to put it on the screen. I thought it could have been a good to set up an Alberta independence canvas or signing post around the Iranian rally to get a lot of signatures. Yeah, I agree as well. And again, I'm not trying to downplay what you said earlier. That is a great idea. In fact, they should be doing those things. They should be getting out in front of or near sporting events or anything that they can where there's going to be high volumes of traffic to try and get those signatures. So I agree with that one. Thank you for the super chat.
Weren't they like sending security at people who were trying to get signatures outside of an Oilers game or a Flames game or something?
Yeah. So Stay Free Alberta signatures or campaigners are outside every Oilers home game getting signatures. They're doing a great job. All of our volunteers are doing an amazing job. I can't wait to see the numbers once they make them public.
I'm excited.
Greg says, what do you think of the 2-stroke ban?
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
Like the 2-stroke engine? Who's banning engines?
I don't know. A.W. Bennett says, how are the book sales? They're on hiatus, I guess. Everybody who bought a copy wanted to buy a copy, and they've kind of slowed. But How Alberta Got Its Independence is still available on Amazon if you want to get your copy. In all honesty, folks, I haven't been plugging it too much lately because I don't want people to get sick of it. Hey, Derek, all you ever do is talk about your stupid books. So I've been trying not to flood the stream with those. Bradley Wilcox, Tim Hortons becomes Alberta Gold Coffee. Gross. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Somebody gave me a $5 super chat. In 1976, when Canada changed to metric, gas was 39 cents a liter. I mean, yeah, we got a market for inflation, but still, gas should be below $1 right now. It's if Iran wasn't doing their thing right now, and if we actually managed our resources properly based on what oil was pre the Iran incident, it should be under $1. Can you guys set up signings outside of churches on Sunday? That's up to the church, Will, and that's up to the church and who runs it, I guess. It's not really us that aren't doing our part. I'm sure canvassers are asking wherever they feel they can get the signatures. Again, much like Rachel Gilmore's best friend with Guyliner said earlier, people are trying to cancel these events and make sure people can't sign in front of certain places. If they see people signing, they call them and they say, stop it. We're going to complain. We're not going to do anything with you guys if you continue to allow them to be out in public collecting signatures. And then they go home and they cry themselves to sleep on their penis-shaped pillow because they feel good about themselves.
People keep asking, so I got to address. We are not in charge of the ads that YouTube just shoves into the podcast live. It's really annoying. We don't have no control over it. That's YouTube.
That's YouTube.
They're quite happy to make money off of us when we're streaming live and then suppress our videos.
Yep. That's why I tell everybody, and it's down in the link in the description, if you really want to support the channel, go over to Buy Me a Coffee. We get to keep 90% of those proceeds instead of 70, and it supports the channel better than supporting YouTube. And I'm sorry, YouTube, I told you I was going to tell people that. If you kept suppressing my videos, head over to Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. If you guys want to support us further that way, the same amount of money that you super chat could be going there, and we get to keep more of it to keep doing shows like this, keep the lights on, and bringing you content. But what does Rick have to ask? As Albertans, do you not know? Here. As it stands, you guys are inconsequential to the United States unless you are independent from your liberal nutcases and are able to promote your independence and economy. But that's kind of what we're doing right now.
What do you think we're doing here?
What? I'm walking here. I'm walking here. No, that's what we're doing. That's what's happening, isn't it? Maybe I'm missing something. It's I think that's about it for Q&A. Are we? Yeah, we're already over the mark. Let's
spin the wheel.
Let's spin the wheel. Let's get some giveaways going on, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. What do we got here? Round and around it goes. Feisty Fry. Is Feisty Fry still in the stream?
He's right here.
I see a chat there, but I don't know. Is that like the chat isn't moving on the screen? Oh, there it is. The screen's moving. Is Feisty Fry still in here? I don't know when that froze out. I'll look on the main.
Wait for it.
Wait for
Speak
it.
Feisty. Oh, he is. Yeah, he's here.
Feisty Fry is here. Okay, great. Feisty Fry, you are our first giveaway winner tonight. Hang in there. I'll give you an email address in a moment. Simeon, $5 super chat. Sherwood Park RCMP are harassing canvassers collecting signatures. If you're able to email me any kind of proof of that over at unacceptablefringeyt@gmail.com, send me what you got. I'd love to get my hands on that. A link, photos, video, anything. Send it over. So Feisty Fry, it's a she. Congratulations to Feisty Fry. Let's get another one going on here. Around and around it goes. Alberta Bear. Alberta_Bear. Is Alberta Bear still in the chat? Alberta Bear. Is Alberta Bear here? You got a minute? We're going to give you a hot minute to chime in. Alberta Bear, in case there's a delay.
I've got the email address typed out with no
Alberta
spelling
Bear
mistakes.
is here. Great. Pop it up. Alberta Bear here is here as well. Both you ladies and gentlemen, Feisty Fry and Alberta Bear, head over to unacceptablefringeyt@gmail.com within 24 hours. You've both won a t-shirt for the, as you can see of what Matt's wearing, what I'm wearing, the Alberta black and gold shirt with the, I'll bring it up on our, we'll grift a little, shall we?
I never know which direction. It's all upside down.
If you head over to our store, let's share the screen. Time to grift. Time to grift. Guys, these are only going to be available until the end of the signing period. So make sure you go and grab them. Our black and gold design, we do have other colors, but it's got the Unacceptable Fringe North Stands Free logo on the back.
But
Shout out
why
to
would
the
you
Alberta
want any
fan.
other color? It's
right?
amazing.
It's amazing. Although I do like the gray one that I've got, the dark gray, the I don't know what they call it, charcoal gray. The black and gold Alberta is just amazing. North Stands Free on the back with an Unacceptable Fringe. You've both won one of those shirts. Head over, pick out your size on the store. Send me your shipping information at unacceptablefringeyt@gmail.com within 24 hours. Please include a phone number. They need to contact you if they show up and you're not at home to find out how to get you your items. They don't always just leave them on your doorstep. So congratulations to both, I guess. For anybody who wants to grab one of these.
Spell it wrong. Fuck.
Did you spell it wrong?
But you know what I mean. There's an E in there.
It's Unacceptable Fringe YT is in YouTube.
Oh man, I
type
got
it
two
again.
spelling
Matt.
mistakes in there. God.
Type it again. Type it again. We do things right here. If we're not, I get criticized for everything. I get told to unalive myself. But we got lots. We got mugs for this stuff. We've got hoodies, as I'm wearing tonight. Matt's zip-up hoodie like he's wearing. We've got T-shirts. We've got women's shirts. Somebody was asking for a larger zip-up hoodie. I do have a secondary type of zip-up hoodie on the store now that it's technically, I think it's called a 3XL or a 2XL, but it is larger than the other zip-up hoodie in terms of the measurements. So always check your measuring sizes before you buy these, folks. Those are the only, that's the biggest sizes they offer in the zips. But there's lots of them over there. We also have lots of other designs. We have our Forge. We have the Alberta Independence skull shirts. We've got a lot of stuff out on the store. All of our t-shirt sales, all of our merch sales are going to helping our vets up until the end of the signing period. So anybody who wants to grab one, you're not just supporting Unacceptable Fringe and rocking our brands around the world, but you're also supporting Canadian veterans who have given everything to keep you safe, protected, and pay the ultimate price and been ignored at the end of the day. But we don't ignore them here because we love them. So shout out to our vets. Thank you for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, from myself, from Matt, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you to everybody who came out tonight, everybody who liked the stream, everybody who chatted in the stream, everybody for your super chats, your memberships, your support is very much appreciated, never requested. You guys are the greatest. You guys keep us in business when YouTube tries to shut us down. So a huge thank you to everybody. Thank you to Dutchie again for giving 4 of these amazing shirts away that we've now fulfilled. And we look forward to giving away more. Stick with me on the streams and with our content all week long. I'll be here with Mrs. Fringe Friday night for Friday Night Fringe. From Matt and myself, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a safe night. Look after each other, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.